Okie dokie, by the magic of Zoom and YouTube and technology that I don't understand, we should now be saying hello to those of you who've just tuned in on YouTube. And we better shut that up and we better shut that down and say good day, everyone, and have a wonderful new week. Not going to muck around. Ash has got a trade. We're going to go straight to him. Morning, Ash.
Good morning, mate. Good morning. Yes, we do have a trade straight away in the market. So let's get to those levels. It will be an order that we can put in here. There we go. Right then. So it is going to be the pound CAD. The pound CAD, and we are looking short. I can probably get to some of the reasons for short later. The trade isn't going to take us straight in anyway, but just in case the pound opens up, the market opens up and it starts to move. Let's get the parameters in first, and then I will discuss the reasons why this is a short. Now, and what might change it. What do we want? We want this. Right then, so there's firstly there's a little you can see the daily pivot test here is just failing, and if it starts to close above the daily pivot in this trend line, then I won't be interested in the trade anymore. And what I want is under the body of these bars here. I want to try and get it under the body of this bar here. So the entry level is 1.7278. I'm going to go 1 pip below that. 1.1278. In fact, I won't draw the lower trend lines just yet because we'll talk about the reasons why in a moment. 1.278 is the entry level, and stop loss is going to be above this level here. So let's give it a little bit of room. 40 pips stop loss, 40 pips stop loss. So 1.73. What was that? 1.7318, is that right? 78. I think that's right. I'll make sure that's. Yeah, it'd be 318. Let's do that. So 1.7278 to 1.318 is the stop loss. Now you've got a choice really with your targets. I'm going to go fairly aggressively with the targets. There is obviously this trend line down here that you're going to have to be aware of, and that's going to be around about a 28 pip take profit area. Now I'm not going for that. I'm going a bit more aggressively, and I'm going to go for the low down here, and I'll tell you the reasons why in a moment. And the low is down around about 67 pips to the downside. So you want to get down to this low. Oh, actually, we're going to print these up, won't we? Let me print this up for you guys. So it's a buy stop. Sorry, it's a sell stop, and your entry is 1.7. 2.7278. Stop loss is 1.3. One 8. 1.7318, and the target is going to be that lower line down there, which I can't now measure. Let me put that up first. Take profit 1.7208. So it's all the 8s. Let's put this in line here. 1.7208. And that's going to be a take profit 1. And now the rest of it, we do want to leave run, and I'll discuss the reasons why after we've put these in. 1.7208. There we go. So they are the levels there. All right. So we're just floating around the entry level now. 1.7278, stop loss at 1.7318 with a take profit at 1.7208. I'll blow these up so you can see. Okay, there's the parameters. Now the fact that we
can't see them on your screen. Maybe it's just me. Hang on, I'll refresh my screen.
You can't see the entry levels?
It might be just me. I'm just refreshing now and seeing if they're there. Maybe I've gone to sleep, or my screen's gone to sleep.
Let me just get on YouTube.
I've got a circle of death here. Oh, yeah, got them. They're there.
You got them. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Everybody see those? Okay. Now we'll talk about the reasons behind this in a moment. Now there will be a potential trade in the FTSE long at some point as well, but it's got to come back a bit for me. Right. Yeah, they're there. Okay, fantastic.
Right, I might shoot and do this pound US dollar breakout trade, mate. Whilst
okay, yeah, because everybody should have these parameters now. Nobody else needs them, right? Okay, and we will talk about reasons behind this in a moment. They are both technical and there is a fundamental bias as well. So one of my kind of favorite things about that.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Yeah, these are a few of my favorite things here, mate. Okay, so let me give you the screen. Oh, in fact, you can take the screen.
I think so. We'll give it our best shot. Righto, there we go. And the pound trades today, I've already got them on the screen for you guys. It is, of course, the pound US dollar UK Open, not UK Open, London Open, OCO trade. It is a sell at 1.2397, which is 10 pips below this bar here. And actually, I've got a different broker here, different price, but use that price, and the stop loss is 1.2449, which is the entry for the buy. So 1.2449 is the buy, and the stop loss is 1.2397. Now, those of you who are joining us for the first time, no, Fad, I don't consider it. Fad's asking me if I consider the OCO trade for the pound CAD as well. And the reason I don't is because I've got absolutely no information on it. And I would challenge you, that's a good exercise for you. Put it on pound CAD every single day. We put it on pound US dollar and see what happens. That's the whole beauty of being able to forward test things. Is you can actually go and have a look and see what transpires, which is exactly what we're doing here. It is a beta test, you know, where we're not trading this seriously with serious money at all. Of course, we want it to win, but we're still, well, I think about 4 weeks to go before we sit down and say, okay, well, was that a worthwhile exercise? Should we change this? What are the filters we should add to it, etc., etc. So at the moment, we're just gathering data, and the data suggests at the moment, look, this is not going all that well. We've had 9 winners, 9 losers, and we're hovering around about minus, I don't know, just less than 1%. But at this point in time, that is proving not to be the best way to trade this. We will, as I say, reassess that when the time comes. Okay, so that's it. Those of you who are new to this particular scenario, here's what we do. We put an entry above the high of the last 3 bars prior to London session on an hourly chart. That would be this one, and this one. So we put our entry 15 pips above the high of the range. Now the range today is here and here. That's the high, that's the low. So we put our entry 15 pips above that range at 49, is it? Yep. which is, well, bang on that number, isn't it? Right there. And that's our long entry. Our short entry is at 1.2397, which is 10 pips below the low of the range of those 3 bars. So there's your entry for the long, and there's your stop loss for the long, there's your entry for the short, and there's your stop loss for the short. As soon as one triggers, we go into OCO mode. OCO means one cancels the other. And as soon as, let's say, the short triggers, we cancel the long and we switch to a 15-minute chart straight away. Now, to demonstrate what happens then, I'll show you Thursday's trade. And it was the range of 1 to these 3 bars here. So we had an entry not far from where it is now, actually, 1.2399 or thereabouts. And we got triggered by this bar here, this hourly bar, the little sod, little so-and-so. Didn't do us any favors by taking us in. That's Friday. Let me show you Thursday. Right, there's Thursday there. There's the bar that took us in. Now, as soon as we get taken in, we had to cancel the short, don't forget. And just as well we did that, otherwise we would have had 2 losers. And we trail now on 2 buying bars. So what we need to see after we get triggered are 2 buying bars. Hello, where are you? We had to suffer this amount of ignominy before we got 2 buying bars in a row, and that's what we're looking for. So as soon as we get that, we move our stops from where they were, which was down here, up to under the 2 buying bars, which was there, and that was as good as it got because this bar came down and took us out. So we lost, I think, 0.55 of 1%. So I think I've got that up there somewhere. I'll share that with you. At least I'll try and share that with you. That screen there is the one you want. And that is progress to date. You should be able to see that on your screens just about now. That was Thursday's trade, as I said, and that was the loss of 0.55 of 1%. As I said, we're 9 and 9, so 9 winners, 9 losers. Not a great win-loss ratio, but not disastrous if you're getting the right side of it. Currently, we're not the right side of it, and we're down 0.68 of 1% on how many weeks are we going? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. So we've now got, oh, shivers. We've got plenty of time for this to correct itself, of course. But that's where we're up to, guys. We are 0.68%. Let's hope today we can get back on the board. And don't forget, Mondays. How are Mondays? We haven't checked Mondays for win-loss. Monday, winner, 1 from 1. Didn't trade on that day. It was a holiday. 2 from 2. Didn't trade on that day. It was a holiday. 2 and 1. So we're 2 and 1 on Mondays. Not a great sample of what we need. If we had 3 and 0, then I'd be happy. Okay, that should be it, guys. And g'day to everyone who's said g'day. G'day Swee, g'day LT, g'day Helen, g'day Lewis, g'day Alan, g'day Crystal. And I think I've covered everyone who said hello. Are there any questions amongst that? No, I don't believe so. One thing I will do, Ash, when you've been through your pound CAD trade and the reason for, is come back and have a look at that dollar Sing trade. Because I don't think, did we give you guys take profits on that? I've got a funny feeling that we didn't. And hopefully you got out of that at the right place. I'll go through that when you're done.
Great stuff. Okay, so let's get to this pound CAD trade, okay? And just give you a quick...
Stop?
You probably do, but let's just see. Yes, you do.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, so we are in this pound CAD trade and we are short pound CAD. That was our entry. There's our stop loss. There's our take profit. Now, if you're not in this trade and you still want to put your levels in, I'll leave that up for a few more moments. What might happen is that it might come down here and bounce. Now, this area is problematic. We need to get through there to grab the low, and that's going to be our first take profit area. And I will get to the reasons that I'd like to take profit there, but leave the rest run, and maybe even give it some room. I'll probably tuck in behind this bar here in a moment if we get down to this particular point here. So let's talk about time frames, reasons, and everything else. I'm going to just do a quick copy and paste in case somebody asks me to bring this back up again. A copy and paste later on. I just want to take this down. Okay. So let's get rid of some lines, get rid of all this stuff, and then we'll come back to this chart in a minute. So this really illustrates very, very good practice for the trade, you know, for my approach. Now, anybody that's done my price action course will know that this is a price action entry anyway, but in almost every respect, actually, you know, because there's fundamental bias and there is technical bias. You know, there's a technical reason to get in. So let me talk to you about all those reasons in one. So starting out on the monthly chart. So we want top-down analysis. Starting out on the monthly chart. The previous month, it doesn't tell us a whole bunch, but that is a spinning top. This bar is a spinning top, and there is, you know, a bit of a level of resistance up here. So with that horizontal level that's kind of cutting along there, then we do have resistance in this area. Now, we don't know how far that'll come down. There's also some support down here. And there's obviously some support down here. So this could come down a long way, or it might just come down a little bit, or it might not come down at all. But because we're looking for the shorts, then we do have a reason for this to be coming down. Now, if this ends up down at this low end here, that's going to be an evening star pattern, or something that looks like an evening star pattern. So that's going to look even better. But when we go to the weekly is when we start getting the real information on this one. So look at last week's bar. You know, it's not an engulfing bar, but that's incredibly decisive. Closes right on the lows, or it opens on a gap, so it gaps down in the morning, and then it ends up closing right on the lows. So there's negativity with the pound CAD anyway. Then we're going to come to the daily, and what I really like about this one is the fact that we've broken through a level. Now, I'm not super excited about the fact that we've broken through a level and we've ended up with a bit of a doji bar down here. But look at this. This is the little level we've broken through. There's a little trend line down there, and we just managed to just close slightly below it. But most importantly, on Friday, we weren't able to get back above it. So that does give us the green light to continue for downside. Now, this could be a buying bar, and we are in a buy zone. But because of the trend line, we can start to look at this as a sell zone. And it's also a break of this level of support as well. So we've broken down that level of support, not able to get back above it. We've tested it and we've rejected it so far today. So we really do have a green light to go on these larger time frames, which is the absolute best case scenario for us. You know, that's really, really good. Now we want to look at the 4 hour. Now, as I say, anybody that's done the price action course will know that that there is a you can't see the spinning top. Okay, I'll come back to that in I'll come back to that in one moment. Okay, let me finish this, and then and I'll get to the bars and the candles. So now we come back to the 4 hour. Now the 4 hours is providing a pretty sloppy looking flag here, but it is there, and the flag is like this. This is the flag. So it's a bear flag there. Now that does start to lead us looking at this as a kind of flagpole here. You could take it from there, but let's be conservative and take it from there.
Okay, guys, we've been triggered short on cable, so
brilliant.
Cancel the buy.
Oh, brilliant, mate. That's the way we want it. We want the pound weakening against everything here. We'll be in good
Yeah,
shape.
we want it to trash, mate. That's right.
Yeah, lovely job, lovely job. Okay, so we're short down here. The flag would leave us down quite a long way from entry. It's going to give us potentially what 176 pips, potentially down to that. So we could even use that as a potential target. But I think we might need to aim probably for this low down here. I think I might have put my take profit there, but you can aim a little bit low. I'm going to be pretty aggressive myself with this, and see how far I can let it run. I might even use my take profit levels as soft targets rather than hard targets, even on TP1. I don't normally do that, but I might do that on this occasion, and I'll get to some of those reasons in a moment. So there's our 4 hour. You can see that 4 hour flag. Hopefully, I'll just double check everybody's understanding so far. Okay, and I'll get to the spinning top in a moment. Now we go to our hourly for our entry. And again, anybody who's done the price action course will know that the area was right and the lower indicator was right. Now this one does need to get through this level, and it gets through that level there. Then we start to get a really nice pattern. Now there's a couple of patterns in here. We've got this little head and shoulders. There's also a triangle pattern coming down here and leaving us here. And even if we were to measure the triangle, then that's going to leave us significantly lower as well. And maybe that takes us down to the low. Let's just have a quick look. I want this. I want this. Brilliant. So that actually brings us down here. I might even start looking a little bit lower straight away. You know, if these lower areas are if the soft targets don't really show that there's any buy signals when I hit them, then I probably will come out take profit one at this particular point. But where I will aim for the whole trade is on the weekly chart, and I'll just draw my trend line up there, and I will look down quite low. Now, the reason I'm doing this, the reason I'm looking quite a significant area lower, is that Brexit talks start again today, and with Brexit talks starting, there doesn't seem to be too much appetite between the EU and the United Kingdom with doing a deal. So I suspect there might be speculation or certainly concern. Now, we know that what's one of the main drivers for downside? One of the main drivers for downside is uncertainty. So while there is a negotiation going on, that creates uncertainty. Now, if that certainty becomes no deal, the pound will go much, much lower. If that uncertainty continues, the pound will go much, much lower. If they get a deal, the pound will go much, much higher. So we've got to be aware of the news and stay on top of any news and data that is coming out from the EU and the pound when it comes down to negotiations. Now, the other barometers that we also want to start using with this is the euro as well. Now look at the euro CAD. Again, pretty much the same thing. Very, very negative looking bar. My first thought this morning was that I was going to trade the euro pound short, but because there was a little setup going on there. But this is where the fundamentals actually come into play for me. I don't really want to trade something that has it's effectively a zero-sum game. If there's a no deal, then the euro and the pound will probably both weaken. If there's a deal, then they'll probably both strengthen. So I'm basically sort of trading one against the other that's involved. So that's why I decided against the pound, euro pound, and actually euro pound is strengthening again. So looks like that was probably the right decision. So let's just have a look at the spinning top. Now, so they're the reasons behind it, and they're the reasons I want to hold on for as long as the news tells me. So my targets are soft because what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade the news. I'm going to wait for that news to unfold. If there is no deal, I'm holding on to this as long as I possibly can. If there is, and I will probably hold on to it right back to the lows on this weekly chart. If we can, really get some pace picking up, and we will get pace picking up if there is no deal, or if they don't make progress, the pound really will struggle to be positive if we come out of this with negotiations drawing a blank. So I want to stay in it as long as possible. That means like giving those stops a bit of room. That means taking profits at a fairly good level. Like, you know, they are soft targets, but I will take profit if I see even weak buy signals. I'll probably take half off the table just to allow the second half to evolve. But you know, realistically, this should be a 3-to-1 plus if we get a no deal scenario. The pound CAD daily rectangle. Let's have a look at that. Yes, it is there, Crystal. It is there for sure, and it's not that these ranges aren't in play, but there's got to be a point where this range breaks, and my bias now is because of the news and data. The news and data is coming out, and it's potentially going to be bad for the pound, and it's going to be, you know, bad for the euro as well. So there's reasons to believe that that this really could start coming down, and there's also this little trend line bounce negatively as well within that triangle rectangle. Sorry. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That is in play, and that may well hold it up, and it may put the whole trade to the sword. You know, maybe what really happens is that while we wait for those negotiations to unfold, we just float around in this area until we get the final decision, and then we start to move down. So there's you know, every trade is going to have its counter argument, if you like. You know, it will have trials and tribulations, and it will have counter argument, and I'm not even saying that I'm right, which is why I'm not putting my whole portfolio on this one trade. You know, I've still got my protective stop in place. I'm just saying that with the analysis that I've done, this has got a pretty good chance of going lower here. I've got a reason that it could go lower, and I've got technical reasons for it to go lower. So so I've got an entry, and from what I can see, these longer term timeframes are also looking pretty negative. Now, the spinning top. I just want to discuss the spinning top for Helen. The spinning top is a candle pattern, is a candle, let's say, that can appear anywhere on the price, you know, in price action. So a spinning top is effectively a bar that looks like this, and it's got a body that looks similar to a doji, but it doesn't close at its open. So it can look like that. It could look like this. It could be something like that. It could look like this. Now, the most important thing to recognize about the spinning top is that it's about the body and not about the bar. Okay, that could be a spinning top as well. So all of these are spinning tops, and we have one here. We have one right here. That's a spinning top there on the daily, and that effectively shows indecision. That's what the spinning top is. It's effectively, you know, it's the same sort of thing as a doji, but it's but look at the body. The body is sort of, it doesn't really matter where it appears on the candle. It's all about the body. Open and close pretty much in the same place, and that creates the spinning top. And it's a spinning top even at the lower end of price action. Not a great bar to enter on. You know, it doesn't really tell us a lot because there is indecision with that particular scenario. But what it does mean is that if we are, it wasn't the daily, wasn't it, or was it on the monthly? Yeah, you can see here. There's another one here on the monthly. Let me blow this up. This is also a spinning top here. That one there is a spinning top. Let me just change that, just so you can see it better. That's there. So it's all about the body. The body, it's a small body. It's not quite a doji. There's another one there. That wouldn't qualify there. You don't, with a spinning top, you don't want it to be, there's one there, but not one here. that is not a spinning top, because the body ends up closing so close to the low of the bar, it becomes more of a shooting star, or a high test bar, if you like, than a spinning top. You know, it's somewhere, it's somewhere within the I don't, you know, you could call that a high test bar, I suppose, but that to me still provides enough indecision. You know, we're far enough away from the low to suggest that people don't really know what's going on at that point, and it's the same there. Low test bar, you could call it that, but I describe those as spinning tops. There's one there as well, and another one there. So that's the spinning top, and it's just, you know, does the bar show you? And really, when you look at bars, what you want to know is really two. You know, you're only asking yourself two questions: is it decisive or is it indecisive? That one there is decisive. This one here is indecisive. And interestingly, with this one, it did provide some downside, but only to go back up again. With this one, you know, you could have entered this one, and it eventually causes a downdraft there. This one's decisive. This one's indecisive. That's definitely decisive. That's indecisive. That's indecisive as well. That's incredibly decisive. So you're really kind of looking at the bars and trying to figure out what are they telling you. And the thing about indecision, which, you know, you could certainly argue with the indecision of the spinning top on the daily, that it's maybe not such a good area to trade, which is true. But the monthly chart is always going to trump everything else. And the thing about indecision is that it doesn't appear that it should be an opportunity, but it is, because indecision at the high end means that we are changing trend. Now, that doesn't mean we change direction. It means that we are either going sideways or lower, sideways then possibly higher, or sideways and lower. So it becomes more in your favor when you see spinning tops in the area you want to trade. Now, that does mean that when we look at this on a daily chart, that this one here means that it suggests that we are going higher or sideways, and that may well happen. You know, it doesn't suggest that we're going lower with this particular bar, but the other information certainly suggests that's got a pretty good probability, because I'm arguing really here that this isn't at the high end this isn't at the low end of the range. This is at the high end of the range, because we're through this trend line. Now, whether you agree with that argument or not is really down to you, because, you know, trading is probably at least 50% subjective. So that should hopefully explain those bits and pieces, mate.
Right, mate. Happy days. That was a good little session there, actually. I got plenty done whilst that was happening. Lots of questions. Good on you guys.
Yeah, there you go. Lewis, yes, it's a sell limit. Just one quick thing about the FTSE. You know, we're looking for FTSE longs really today. FTSE through its area. It's a really interesting bit of price action going on here. This is now through the rising wedge. Look at this. This is our rising wedge that we had, and price action is now through that on a gap. Now, this is quite problematic, you know, to see this gap. And really, we've got to wait for the close of this bar, because what this bar might do is give us a genuine shooting star. Now, the shooting star is a really interesting pattern, because with a shooting star on currencies, then we have to be a little bit creative in the way we describe it. So what a shooting star pattern is something that does this. Why haven't I got that? Oh, I see why. No. Here we go. Right, what the shooting star will give us is this. So you will get a bar going up, like we have here. Then you'll have a breakout bar. Now, this bar doesn't matter on the color of this one, but you'll get a little breakout bar that gaps up doing something like this. It gaps up, and then it's a small body bar. And by the end of the session, actually, that's not the best illustration there. So this one will be a little small body that does something like this, and it might end up looking like that, something like that. And then the anticipation is that the next day will gap down, and not only will it gap down, but it will create something that starts to look like an evening star. So the shooting star is the second bar in an evening star pattern, which means that we need to be probably waiting to make sure that that this bar actually does extend its way up. You know, we might get a gap and go here, but if this ends up as a small body bar on a gap, that's going to suggest that there is a high risk of downside coming. So so I'm watching the FTSE quite closely today. Now, I will take a FTSE long if this gap gets closed today and comes down and tests probably the gap. If it closes the gap, then I'll take the FTSE long. No problem with that at all. But if it ends up here and leaves this gap open, then I'm not keen on the long at all, even though we could get a gap and go. And I think there's probably enough arguments, you know, out there to say that we could get a gap and go. The economy seemed to be starting back up again, but there's still also arguments on the other side of the coin as well. And I don't like these gaps, especially within these ranges. So even if the FTSE does, you know, continues to go forward, that's going to make the going long even more difficult, because it suggests to me that we could really crash down pretty fast and close this gap. So what I really want to see is the gap to close, and then I will look for the longs. I want it down here somewhere. If I can get it along there, which is still going to be right along the wedge, and it's going to test this high and it's going to close the gap, then we're good to go long. So I'm going to anticipate going long. It doesn't mean I'm going to go short. I'm definitely not going to go short here unless I get a good reason to go short. But I really want the long in the FTSE, but it's got to come back a little bit. So I will pass it back over to you, mate. I think I've pretty much covered everything I'm looking at for right now.
Right, mate, done good. I'll have a look around the 30-minute charts in just a tick. But first, I wanted to very, very quickly go back to the pound, and we don't have anything to trail at this point. We have been triggered. We're on entry just about right now, as a matter of fact. And what we're looking for is 2 selling bars on the 15-minute chart. Should have cancelled your long order at this point. Rightio. So let's go around the grounds and see what we've got. And I will answer the questions that we've got very, very shortly. Yes, Shukri, dollar yen is breaking out, and I couldn't be happier. Well, I could be, because I could be on the long side of it right now, but I'm waiting to get short again, so no big deal. I really want it to go as high as it possibly can, so we can get a good price on it. So euro US dollar bias. First thing we need is a bias, and from a technical perspective, my bias is still short on the medium term. But what we need to see is this, I'll call it a short term, if you like, short-term rectangle or consolidation pattern to play out, and then give me the indication that we're ready to go short. And hopefully that comes off the top of this rectangle. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I don't care where it comes from, as long as it comes. It may come off this resistance trade line, may come off the confluence of that. That'd be nice. If we got up to here, broke out, got back below and retested, then that would be absolutely what the doctor ordered. But in the meantime, my short-term bias has to be to the high side. Why? Because we've come off the bottom of the range, this range here, the rectangle. So we've had 3 tests of the high, we've had 3 tests of the low, and all I need to go long here right now is a higher low, and something that would entice me into the market, frankly. And that would be maybe a trade line. Any confluence area would be happy with that. We've got a trade line coming through here. on the 4-hour chart. That's going to be a long time to fill. This one coming through here, maybe not so long, sorry. Very hard to see that, but I know where it is. So we're in not a position to trade at the moment because we only trade at trade lines or confluence areas, right? So no trade there on the 4-hour. Let's go to the 30-minute chart, which is where we do most of our trading on intraday. And here we see a marked difference. I better make these lines a little bit clearer for you. Different color might help. How about red? Ruby red. There we go. So we've got a trade line coming through here, and this looks good so far for a potential long. Why? Well, it could be short, could be long, but at this point in time, what I'm seeing is a potential break. There's a nice little support level sitting there, as you can see. If we got back above that and then retested the confluence of daily pivot and trend line, trade line, it's not a trend line, then we could go long. And that is our want. Now, if you're really adventurous, you could probably find that there is, oh no, I'm not even going to mention it because there's so many here on a 30-minute chart. It's just not funny. And what I'm referring to, of course, is low test bars. There's one, well, that's a doji / spinning top. Ash has just described that for you. There's one, and there's one. Of all of those, the one that I like the most to go long on, can anybody guess which of that bar, that bar, that bar, and that bar I would like to trade long? That'll see if you've been listening for the last 6 weeks.
Oh, ask me this as well. Which ones?
This one?
Yeah.
Because it's a high, all these are higher lows, right?
Yeah.
This one, higher lows based on the base on the bottom.
Yeah.
So this one, this one, this one, or this one.
And you want to go long?
Want to go long?
Oh, I know which one.
You'll know which one.
Well, I hope I
no,
do.
Nobody's going to have a crack.
I'm going to have a crack.
What have you been doing while I've been saying this for so long? I've been saying it in reverse. That's why. I'll give you the reverse, right? And see if you can work it out. Let's go back to here.
Oh, there you go. You got some answers there, Jeff. I think there's a little time lag, so that's probably why it looked like people weren't having a crack yet.
Those bars are 3 millimeters on my screen. Third bar. If third bar is the last one, then you're all right. It's this one here. And I'll show you why. Those of you who've forgotten, and look, this is my system, right? It's nobody else's but mine, so blame me if it's wrong.
Crystal's asking you to zoom in, mate.
Okay, we'll do. So every time we come off the top right, we're looking for lower highs. And every time I say I want to go short, and this happens more often than not, I've pointed out so many times last week, you've got to have a white body. Got to have a white body. High test bar with a white body as a lower high. Look at that. How good is that? This is exactly the same scenario, but we're going in the opposite direction, right? And this is nowhere near as good as that setup. Don't get me wrong. I'm probably not going to trade this. This setup's so good because it came and tested the daily pivot. It's on a roll, lower highs, lower lows, and it is a massive rejection of that level, which was support out of that, what do you call that thing? Consolidation in the last little section. So that bar there, did I trade this euro dollar? Where was I? Asleep, must have been. If I missed that, I'm a dickhead because that's just super trade. That's exactly what you want. And this is exactly the same in reverse, except you see the noise that we've got in here? That makes it very, very difficult. The difference here is we've had the noise, we got out of the noise, and we rejected the level above there. This is classic lower high stuff coming back into a range. This one's not. It really isn't. But if I wanted to trade this long, that's the one I would choose most definitely. Why? Because if I've got the direction wrong, then exactly what's happening now will happen and the bears will just take over and I won't be taken into a bad trade. If, however, these guys who drove price back from this level to the close have actually taken over, then they'll just keep going and they'll keep buying and they'll take it through these levels here, which is exactly what we want. But this is far too messy for me to trade, I've got to say, and I won't be taking that trade. Rather, what I'll be looking for, and I'm not saying this is wrong, but what I'll be looking for is the break of support, which is what we're seeing at the moment. I want to see a close here, maybe another candle, maybe another two on the 30-minute chart, then price get back above the broken trade line. And here's your false break. I think, Crystal, you were asking about this before, and I will zoom in now. This is the false break. We're always looking for false breaks. This is our favorite play, right? We're looking for break, consolidate, re-entry, retest, long. Can you all remember that? It's a very, very set sequence. It's break, consolidate, re-break or re-entry, retest, long. It's really simple to see once you've got the hang of it, right? Because and of course the key, as always, is to get your trade lines in the right place. This is beautiful. This doesn't get much better than this for me in terms of a 30-minute trade line. Why? Beautiful rejection here, beautiful rejection here, and just about the same time frame has gone. We've got away from the level, we've come back to it. It means to me this is a very reliable level, and for that reason I like to trade off reliable levels obviously. So this will be I'll be very surprised if I don't see some form of entry off this, either as a break and retest and a short, or as a break, false break back above here and a long. My preference is for a long, as I said before, and the reason is my bias is long because we've come off the bottom of the range. So I'm looking for a higher low. All got it? Sorry, I've been keeping low and studying, but I did take the pound CAD 1 hour last Thursday, so it's good to see it's still a valid setup today. I'm starting to learn. Thank you, Jeff. You're very welcome, John. Next bar was up, not seeing it. Next bar on the 30-minute chart on euro dollar. That is also a quadruple bottom, +4s. Plus, I used to wear +4s. Crystal, I'm not sure. Have you heard of, he's dead now. I can't remember his name. Payne Stewart.
No. Google
Payne Stewart, and you'll have an image of him in a Scottish beret and a pair of +4s, I'm sure, because that was his thing. +4s are golfing pants.
Oh.
That are like, wow, 3/4 legs with a garter around the bottom.
Sounds sexy.
Oh, mate, the amount of women that used to flock around me when I was playing golf and those were unbelievable. Not, I've got a good imagination, as you know. So, pound CAD trade saying it's supposed to be short. Look, we got into pound CAD last week, guys, on a bigger time frame. And we're also in pound Aussie, right? I'll get to that in a minute, but we're supposed to be doing 30-minute charts at the moment. I'll come back to it, right? So there's the story on euro dollar. I want to go long, but I want to see it as a false break. Dollar yen, I want to go short, and the further this goes long, the better I like it. Reasoning. Well, now I've got a resistance break, right? So when I'm trying to go short, what do I need? I need a resistance break. But there's usually tons of resistance when we've been going short for some time. There's another one, and there's the best one, right? And what I'd really like to see here is exactly the same as I've just described in reverse. So price comes up to here, hits the monthly pivot, consolidates for a couple of bars, gets back underneath the trade line, retests it, away we go short. So what did I say? Break, consolidate, re-entry, retest, short. It's exactly the same in reverse, right? No. Well, kind of, Helen. Kind of. Long story, Helen. Really long story. You don't want to hear it either. If we one day we'll probably meet in Bali or Singapore, and I'll tell you that story over a cold drink. But yeah, that's not for publication currently.
Don't do it to yourself, Helen. Don't do it to yourself. Retreat, retreat.
There's a man who knows.
Yeah, run to the hills, Helen. Run to the hills. He's coming from the hills. Run away from the hills.
So there we go. That's dollar yen, and the same story in reverse. Now the Aussie. I forget who I've got to. Well, I don't really have to apologise to anybody, but we said last Thursday. Was it Thursday? Yes, it was. That very, very difficult to go long the Aussie at this level, and the reason was that we were at DS2. I think DS2 was about here somewhere, or maybe even here somewhere. Sorry, DR2. And of course, impossible for me to trade at that level. And there was another reason, the weekly pivot was there as well. So there's no way I could have gone long at that point. And I can't remember who it was. I'm sure it was someone in this room, maybe Chandru, maybe not. I can't remember. Somebody wanted to go long the Aussie, and I said, look, very low probability, and I'll stick by that till the cows come home. But that turned out to be the wrong advice. Well, sorry, for this circumstance, it turned out to be the wrong advice. Here was the place to go long here. If you're going long, not. There's no way I could go long here. On any one of these retracements, there's no way I could go long. And that's just the way it is for me in trading. I'm going to miss some trades. There's no question about that. But I know from expensive experience that to go long at these levels is not the right thing to do. And I'm a bull. I'm an Aussie bull, right? So reason is, like I just said, DS2 was about here somewhere. So no way I would trade that. And I wouldn't trade this long because there's an untested daily pivot, and same's going to apply here. So those of you who chose or wanted to go long and probably didn't because I said, then I'm sorry, but keep doing what I said, not doing what you did, or sorry, not doing what price did, because that happens so infrequently. It's not funny, breaking outside that DR2 level. Now it's interesting today because, yes, DR2, I mean, potential double top here on a 4-hour chart. Well, can we go long here at the moment? No. Can we go long shortly? Maybe. But my bias today is not long. But if I were to see this break here, hit the daily pivot, get back above it and retest it, as long as I've got room to take profit here before price gets to the highs, then I'd be okay with that. But that is not my bias. My bias is short the Aussie today. And maybe, I won't say for the week, because a lot can happen in a week, that's for sure. We are at resistance levels. They don't appear to be hard resistance, but they are resistance. We've got a trade line here. We've got I'll call it soft horizontal level through here. Let's go back in time and see how soft it is. It's in this vicinity, but I'd call that a soft resistance level. But the thing, and probably the main thing that gets me about the Aussie at the moment is not that I don't want to go long. I do want to go long because I've got a target area up here, right? And I pointed that out many times before. 6675, I think it is from memory. And I really think that will be hit at some stage. But I think the dollar, US dollar, this week has a strong case for a long or a bullish outlook or a bullish bias to the US dollar. And I'm getting that from the dollar index. I think the dollar index is looking very, very much like it wants to rally. And if that's the case, then I think Aussie will be one of the victims of that. Could be wrong. And if I am, that's perfectly fine, because I'm still short Euro Aussie, still short pound Aussie. And if those keep going, then I'd be more than happy. But I'm not fearful. I've just got this strong feeling that we're going to see a weaker Aussie this week and a stronger US dollar. So on that basis, I'm only short bias the Aussie at present. But if I see something that changes that, like I just described, then I will obviously look very seriously at it. If I'm honest with myself, I want to see this break and retest not only the daily pivot but the trade line. And if that were the case, I think I can find a little trade back to the weekly pivot, and I think that would be a reasonable trade to take. Very interesting though, the Aussie. That there's by no means a fait accompli attached to it. Okay, we've got 9 minutes and we should be able to move our stop loss to this level here, just above that bar, if this remains a seller bar on pound US dollar. If I'm looking to trade the dollar without the breakout scenario today, I'm really looking to trade it probably short. And wow, didn't see that bar before on the daily. I didn't have a look at it, that's why. If I zoom in a little bit, isn't this what we look for? We'll come off the top. We haven't really come off the bottom. Let me move that. Let me get rid of it. We've come off the top here, top of the range. The question is, have we been to the bottom with this bar here? And the reason I say that is when we come off the top of a range, we're looking for a lower high, right? Where do you see a lower high? Here on the monthly pivot with a white-bodied high test bar. Isn't that what I just described a few minutes ago, or quite some minutes ago? I've got to have a look at this. 137 pips gets me about, so it's reasonable. I don't mind it. And then if we get a play out, we've got, let's say, 900 pips that's going to cost us 130. So we can get 6-ish to 1 there. I'm okay with that. Righto, we're going to place a trade, guys. It's on the daily chart. And how am I going to do this?
Like in this, mate, that we're all going short
all
the
short
pound
the pound
with something. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let me move that one over there.
Not super excited about the euro pound. I have to say the euro tends to strengthen. It's funny actually with Brexit negotiations. You know, that even though they're both involved, the euro does seem to do better than the pound in this scenario for some reason.
Oh, in Brexit?
Yeah, whenever there's a negotiation going on, the euro seems to strengthen against the. You know, the pound seems to be the
I
one
think
that's
because they really, you know, from the outset, as soon as I think the first lot of talks broke down, I think they were in the box seat.
I think you're right, yeah.
And I think that's probably what we've seen since. And that would be a reason for me, whether it's the reason or not, it's another story, but that would be a reason for me, definitely. Right, so we're on the daily chart. We're going to play, I hate it when we do this because I can't get the levels for you. The level's going to be short at 123.45 and the stop loss is going to be 124.75. So 123.45, 124.75. Can I remember that? 123.45, 124.75. Right. So we will be short. At 120, I've forgotten already, my God, 123.45. Hey, it actually worked. And our stop loss will be at 124.75. I'm pretty sure I remembered that. Okay. I'll put that on the screen. I haven't got very far in my analysis yet, have I? I think I talk too much, Ash.
Oh no, I don't think so, mate.
Fibber.
I think there's a lot to say.
Pound, US dollar. Sell 1.2349. That sounds about right. I better get it right, didn't I? Stop loss 1.2479. I've got to check these now, haven't I? My goodness. If I'm wrong, guys, please correct me. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7, 9. Right. Thank you. One, 2, 4, 5, 1, 2, 4, 7, 5. Was it, Brian? Not 7, 9. Okay. I'm happy with that. And take profits. I'll come back to the take profits because I'll give you the levels that I want. I'll probably only give you TP1. Okay. Righto. First take profit. What have we got? 120 odd pips. 130 pips. We can't really go through that level. So 122.49 will be TP1. $1.2249 is TP1. Okay. Now TP2, I actually can't see a TP2 on this chart at all. This is the daily chart. So I may go into a trail situation. Now I can see a TP2. So TP2 needs to be probably there. 120.47. Now TP2 is not the end of the story, right? 120.47. Because I will leave something open. This is the difference between trading a 30-minute chart and a longer time frame chart. This one's a daily, but it could be a 4-hour, it could be a weekly. We've still got that weekly order in place, by the way, Kiwi US dollar. So there'll be a TP2, and I'll leave something open just in case we get down to the 116 area, right? And when we get to here, I'll start to trail. I'll start to trail a bit tighter rather than trail here. These are set levels, these set TPs. So I won't change those unless something dramatic happens from a fundamental point of view. Okay, so let me really rush now. Sorry, I don't mean to do that, but there's our trade on the daily. That's, I should put that in there as well, so you know what we're doing. Okay. There you go. Dollar CAD, quickly. I want to go through the majors. Now, dollar CAD's a little bit trickier than the others. Yes, we're still in the range here. That's the 4-hour chart. That's the daily chart. So 2 at the top, well, actually 3 at the top, two at the bottom. We haven't been back to the top. We haven't been back to the bottom. So it's a bit trickier. Am I looking for a high or low, or am I looking for a lower high? Don't know, because it's really indecisive here. So I'll leave that one alone. I don't think that's tradable for me. Dollar Swissy, yeah, you've got to take this on trust. Like this double top here that we saw before, didn't really get a chance to get into it. Your lower high came there, but very, very tough to trade on those bars. You would have had to drill right down into a smaller time frame. But there it was, break and retest of the weekly pivot, white candle. You would have been in trouble if you traded that, I think, but I'm not sure how that formed. It was a news bar, I think. So I really don't know, but there was probably your entry. That was on a Friday morning by the look of it, last week, week before last rather. Anyway, we've been to the bottom. Have we had a higher low? Question mark, question mark. Is that it? Have we been to the top? Do we trust that as the lower high off this top? Don't know. It's really tough. I could tell you that if had you traded that and you've taken TP1, happy days. But what I can't tell you is I really can't say from a definitive point of view, yes, that has tested the top. And I can't really say from a definitive point of view if that's the higher low that we're looking for. I like that candle, but I don't like the reward to risk. So I'll leave that one alone as well. And I'm a little bit bullish the dollar, as I said before. Here's our Kiwi US dollar trade, that or order rather, that hasn't been triggered. And as I said before, until the set stop has been taken out, I will keep this order in place. And it's trading that bar there. Again, it's a high test bar with a white body, like those scenarios. Could you expand and show, please, on the quiz? Question for Jeff, when you have time. Do you always draw the rectangle box? How many bars do you include in that rectangle zone? Yeah, I can answer that. Sanjay, 30-minute low test bar on the euro. Righto, I'll go back to that as well. Okay, so the rectangle is very, very easy to describe. When I see on a chart something that looks like a rectangle, then I immediately start to draw one. And here's the rule for it. I need to see two equal highs. So you could call that and that two equal highs. You could call that and that two equal highs. There's two highs in there somewhere, right? And you could call that the second high if you like. Then you have a look at the lows. Two equal lows, three equal lows. That's the start of a rectangle, but it has to be at least two on either side, right? Otherwise I don't get interested, because really they're not yet a consolidation area for me. And as soon as I see that, and you know, same old thing, if it looks like a rectangle, if it smells like a rectangle, it's probably a rectangle. But the rule is two equal highs, two equal lows, and they can be bodies, they can be highs and lows, tails, tops, I don't care. As long as they look like equal levels, then that's exactly what they are to me. So as soon as I see that, I start filling in the boxes. And when I've got two on either side, I then start looking for higher lows off the bottom and lower highs off the top. When we hit the bottom, we're looking for a higher low. We're not looking for a lower high. When we hit the top, we're looking for a lower high, not a higher low. Very, very simple rules. So yes, I always, they're my bread and butter. Rectangles, triangles. I want to see your circle that that we were looking at in, I think it was last night's show. Crystal, you had a circle for me. I can't remember where it was. Euro dollar, 30-minute low test bar. Righto, back to the euro dollar, 30-minute low test bar. Yep. So what you're asking me, is that tradable long? I think that's what you're asking me. Well, let's go back to the analysis. The analysis is telling me that we're looking for a higher low, right? And we just described that not long back, that yes, we've got a higher low on the 30-minute chart. But prior to that, we've got this higher low, this higher low, this higher low. How many higher lows do we have? So I really can't isolate one. If I were to do that, that would be the one I would trade, definitely. Hard to understand. Which part's hard to understand, Alan? And we probably haven't got much time to speak about it again now. Tomorrow, Crystal, thank you. But look, I need to labour this point if you're not understanding it, because it's very, very important to understand how I trade. Otherwise, you just won't get it. This is a higher low compared to this, right? But this is a mess here. It's noise. Once I see noise, noise is not good. All right, Alan, cheers. What I'd like to see, and I went back to this particular one. This is noise, but this is clear. Once we get out of the noise, you see a very clear picture. Here, we're still in the noise. See how we're inside that range there that is all over the place on a 30-minute basis? And you see how this one got outside that range well and truly. There's the range in here. Got outside that range well and truly. A much bigger bar than any one of these. And that was your signal right there. But I can't say to you now with any certainty at all that that is the same, because it's not the same. If we come down to here, got outside of this range, then yes, I'd be happy with that. It would be a clear higher low, but to me it is not. So I get it. It's exactly the bar I would like to trade, and it could go well, but it's not in the right context. And context is everything in trading. You must have it where you need it. An isolated candle is really a dangerous thing to you. You must have it where you need the candle, not where you want to see it. Oh, sorry, where you think, not where you think you see it. The candle's there, yes, but it's not in the right context for me. Hope that helps clear it up just that little bit. There was something else I had to look at. What was it? I was going to tell you Dollar Sing, yeah? Dollar Sing. Actually, you guys wouldn't have, this was in the Thursday night show. So yeah, I'll save that. Thursday. Right, I don't need to go through that then. I'll go through that tonight. So that's all clear. I think I'm good.
Great. Okay, mate. Well, we are...
Any time frame, Sanjay? Sorry, Shukri, any time frame.
We're not really doing a lot on the... sorry, mate. Yeah, the not doing a lot on the FTSE. The pound does seem to be weak across the board, which is a good sign. CAD hasn't broken down as yet. Maybe I'll... Well, I think we've pretty much covered it, mate. I mean, the pound hasn't broken down. Some people might really want to be conservative and take their profits already at pretty much where we are, just a little bit lower. But I'm going to hold on for this one, see how we develop.
Okay, we've got to move our stops to there. I'll give you the exact level. I'm going to go 24.01. Just allow that 1 pip above the 24 mark. Which means the very worst we can do here is lose 4 pips on a risk of 50 something. I don't think you worry too much about that, guys, if that's a loser, but that's where our trail should be right now at 1.2401. Okay. Hopefully that just keeps going, of course, and we don't have to worry about losing. We worry about winning 2 or 3%. That'd be cool. One last one before we go. I know I've got a question there on pound yen. All I've got to do is find the chart. There it is. Okay, on H4 sell. I wouldn't be selling here myself. No. Reason. Rectangle. We've come back inside it, and I would only be looking for longs at this point, because this going back into my strategy is a false or a potential false break, not yet proven, but gee whiz, it doesn't look too bad. You see the rectangle that we're trading, equal highs, equal lows. We've come off the top, gone down through the bottom. I'll tighten up again now. I know they'll look like ants' nest on your charts. We've come through the bottom. Now we've gone back into the range. So once we're back in the range, the only thing I'm looking for is a higher low to trade it long back to the top of the range. So I'm not looking to trade it short. Does that mean it won't go short? Of course not. But I just don't have a reason to trade short right now. So can't help you out with that one. I'm sorry. Jimmy, it's not a sell for me at the moment, mate. Although I'm bearish the pound, yes, I am. But that goes back to that context thing. You can think something, you can have a very strong opinion of something, but unless your setup is there, then it's very, very difficult to trade it. That's where you can get yourself in lots of trouble. Right, mate, I think I'm done.
Great stuff. All right, buddy. Well, obviously, we'll be back in a few hours. So those of you that are joining us in the US session, we'll see you shortly. For those of you that aren't, we'll see you tomorrow. Same trade time, same trade channel at 5 to 8.
That's a date. Don't be late. See you guys.